City Council Public Service Committee together at 6:35. We have two items on our agenda, and I will reverse them. The first one we'll take up is order number 191007-823 on the X191007-780. Application for a fuel storage license. One Energy, Inc. for underground storage of 24,000 gallons of gasoline and 4,000 gallons of diesel fuel at 121 Bolton Street, identified as map 57, parcel 289. If you three gentlemen would like to come up, and right there, you can be Mr. Oram. Sure. Mark can be Peter Jower. And we'll go right down the line there. Good afternoon. Well, okay, I guess I don't think we have too many legal problems with this. I'm not sure if you want to say a few words, and then we can swing over to your engineer. We might have a few questions.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is for 121 Bolton Street. As you know, we have a special permit application pending with the City Council. There's been a gas station at this site for over 50 years. This is really, from our perspective, more of a belt and suspenders application. The site had a fuel storage license. We just want to make sure that there's no gap in time, so we applied for this as part of the special permit application. That's where we're at. So it's, as you mentioned, two 14,000-gallon brand new state-of-the-art fiberglass fuel storage tanks going on the site, and they'll be in as soon as we get the special permit issued, once this license issues.
Okay. Mr. Engineer, is there anything you'd like to inform us about, or Mark, either one? By the way, I've been watching all these projects around town. I think there's 4 gas stations that are under construction right now.
We're just talking about those.
And, at the same time. You know, I find it amazing. I didn't realize that there's so much to it. I mean, a couple of them I've seen they put girders down, and then they've also, I guess, digging deep enough that they're putting in
what they call shoring.
Shoring up, right, which is safety. So I didn't realize it was you know, so much to it, but it's kind of interesting. It seems like every section of the town we're getting a new gas station, because we're going to have one on Bolton Street, which is vastly going to improve that whole stretch there. Mr. Engineer.
Certainly, I appreciate being called Mr. Engineer, but my official name is Paul Sylvia, professional engineer.
You just got to hit your mic.
Hit the green button.
Sure. Okay.
Paul Sylvia, professional engineer with AUB Engineering. Our firm is in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. We do probably 50 or 60 similar type projects to the one we're doing for Mr. Diabakley in Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Hampshire. Specific to this project, you're getting 2 brand new tanks, each 14,000 gallons. They are latest state-of-the-art tanks, meaning that they have a double wall fiberglass arrangement. But more importantly, they're monitored continuously with an internal interstitial. That's just a big word for it, means the gap between the 2 layers of tank. So that if any portion of that tank should leak, those monitors pick it up immediately, and it's trapped like a double-walled hull, if you will, if you're familiar with shipbuilding at all. Same kind of situation. So if there is a leak, it gets caught on immediately because of that the sensor. On the other side of the coin, if for some reason there is a breach on the outside of the tank, right, because that could happen too, it also picks that up. So you have a belt and suspenders kind of situation. These tanks are all 1316 UL approved. The piping system will be brand spanking new, employing the latest state-of-the-art equipment. The sumps that you have at the pumps, the actual dispensers, those are all monitored for leaks. All the piping is latest specification for the application, made specific for the application. It's not just, I guess, maybe the way they did things in the old days, where people just come in and whatever they had in the back of the truck, they'd hook it up with hose clamps, something like you might do for your sump pump in your basement. But, you know, this is all high-end stuff. It gets inspected. It gets tested to make sure that everything is functioning appropriately. So we can offer assurances to the community that whatever happened there before, the probability of that happening again is practically zero because of the improvements that have been made.
Yeah, that's important, and I know the councilor and the president will be talking, that's his ward that this happened in before. I mean, it's a tough situation.
Oh, my
I think
goodness. 20
or 30 years ago, we had a similar situation down in East Main Street in the Exxon gas station.
Yeah.
But before I get to President Clancy, do my colleagues here have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Just a quick question. I know at best estimate, from past experience, how many deliveries is it that you would anticipate? I know it's going to be a new facility, so you may not have the data on that. Just an idea how often they'd have to fill the tanks.
It's really difficult to tell at the beginning because this site has been closed for such a long time that we don't really know. I would say right now maybe once or twice a week. You know, maybe down the road it might, if business booms, it might be more frequent. But my best guesstimates right now, it's probably once or twice a week.
Very good, and I understand that.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's very successful and you get a lot of deliveries. But thank you.
With your help,
Thank
I
you.
think we will be.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councilor Doucette.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. As far as the diesel goes, it's 4,000 gallons versus the 24,000 for gasoline. I assume it's a separate delivery for diesel?
No, it's not.
Really?
We usually, at the same trailer, brings both gasoline and diesel.
Okay, interesting. And the other thing you were talking about, that its potential to monitor or discover breaches as well as leaks.
Yes.
Do you tell the difference or you just detect the liquid?
The equipment is quite specific, but because it can actually differentiate between the product. In other words, probability is if it's coming from outside, it would be water. Yeah. Inside, because specific gravities between water and petroleum are different, it can sense that, so they would know immediately what the difference is.
And I assume diesel would be the same way?
Yeah, oh, exactly right, yeah, because...
Right, so you could tell which way it would be?
Yep.
And the remediation would be removal of the tank?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Very good. I have some questions and comments, but I'm going to go right to President Clancy. It's his ward that this happened in, and, you know, he lived with it for many, many years, so... President Clancy, you must have a few questions and comments of these gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, I have been wrestling with this for several years now because of the previous owner's lack of business sense. You know, he had product going into the ground. He didn't really realize it, I think. And what happened is that he just was derelict in reporting it. And what happened is that it surfaced in the neighbors' houses. My understanding is that it's been cleaned up. You know, I guess the LSP on site that you've had, or has been there, has said that the site is clear. So my biggest concern was that if you're going to dig up on the State Street side where they took out the tanks, you know, I would be concerned because I don't know how much material they had to remove from the area. So a lot of it's a brand new material. I noticed that on the new tanks, you're going to be placing them on the front of the property, you know, more over on the Chandler Street side. You have, it says four diesel, I guess that's 4 diesel.
Yes.
Yep.
And then there's four something or other, SUL, what's that?
High test.
That's high test.
Super unleaded, yeah.
Super unleaded. And then the other 2 are 10 RUL, what does that mean?
Regular.
Regular. So you have actually 20,000 gallons of regular gas on site, super unleaded. Is there a 3rd grade in there?
No, the 3rd grade is a mix.
Is a mix.
When you hit that button for the 3rd grade, 89, it blends the super unleaded with the regular, and that's where you get the 89.
Okay. And the diesel nozzle is totally different.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the green nozzle.
Yep. That's
How many actual pumps are you going to have?
5. 1 for diesel, 4 gas, 1 for diesel.
You know, usually you're gonna have 5 diesel pumps?
No.
One, and so in other words, one on one side, probably closest to where the fill area is. I know the old diesel pump was down on the left-hand side of the building toward the rear.
Correct.
Right by a neighbor's house, and so.
That situation been remedied.
Yeah. My main thing is that the site being cleaned up, you know, getting in there, removing everything that you have, and then working from new. I think what we have here is gonna be a lot better for the neighborhood, because the neighborhood really has suffered, you know, for several years, you know, and I thank you for wanting to clean this thing up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Austin.
No, I'm fully in support of the new designs, state-of-the-art, the double wall, and the monitoring. I mean, that's where we should have been, but we've evolved and gotten better, so.
That's right. So I think that's how we feel. I think the neighbors feel the same way, and I think that's what we were watching very closely when they were sitting out there, and we know the support, the letter that they gave Mark, I guess. So I think that puts us all at ease, because that was a tough time down there. I wouldn't want to go through that. I think I would have, if I was a neighbor there, I would have rather had my house burned down than get gallons of gas in the swimming pool in the cellar or something. So when these tanks are monitored, that's the only question I had. Now, there must be a monitoring company somewhere that would dial in and pick up 24/7?
Yes, all the information is really on the internet. We see all the information that's in the tank live.
Oh, is that right?
Through our monitoring system. So if there's an alarm, you know, immediately you get messages. You know, you get an email telling you that there is something.
Okay.
Even if you get, you know, there is sensors underneath the dispensers. There's sensors on top of the pumps. On top of the tanks. So if there is any type of liquid anywhere in the system, because you cannot even, you know, have water seeping into the sumps, the tank sumps, nor the dispenser sumps. So if there's any type of liquid, there's sensors that will be installed there to warn you about liquids. And we typically remove those liquids. If it's water, then we'll call up a company and they'll come pump it up. Occasionally you'll get water in there from rain or whatever. You get a little bit of water that seeps in, so periodically. And in addition to that, there is monthly, reconciliation of all your sales and purchases. And there's a standard for variation for temperature correction and stuff. And in addition to that, there's annual inspections, and every 3 years there's another inspection. And those are done by third parties. It's not us doing that. Those inspections, it's by third parties certifying that all the systems are functioning properly.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed over the years of all the gas stations. It
Correct.
always seems like it is a third party. They're not, you can't identify them with Exxon or Mobil or anybody or Sunoco, but there's an independent third party that comes in, and they must give you a report, but would that report go to the state too?
Correct. Those reports get filed with Mass DEP.
What would cause a fiberglass tank to crack or?
Improper installation most of the time. Our experience, it's improper installation.
That should show up in the first 6 months?
That shows
Or
up
the
immediately.
first winter?
Before you open up, you must test the tanks before you get it.
Right.
Yeah, but with the watchful eye of the fire department, before the tanks are filled for the first time, those tanks are pressure tested first. So if there's any incidents during installation, then those are discovered early.
Okay, so Brian, we'll move this right along, because you have other steps you have to follow. the rest of it, and then they should parallel each other. So what, are you hoping, Mark, to get started on this right after the first of the year, or
Correct, that's our goal,
work right through the winter, huh?
yes.
Be open by Memorial Day?
Well, I pray so.
Okay, do gentlemen have any other questions, comments? Well, if that's the case, I'd welcome a motion.
Motion to approve?
Okay, I'll second that motion. All in favor? Very good.
Great, thank you.
Gentlemen.
Mr. Chair, if I may, our special permit is up for likely deliberation and vote on Monday, December 2nd. It's been, the rules were suspended to have the solicitor put that into proper legal form in time for that meeting. So for efficiency, the council might consider doing this at the same time.
It's probably a good idea. I guess if they're going to suspend the rules, I think we should also suspend the rules. How do you think, Mr. President?
So this would be coming out of committee, ask for suspension of the rules to approve that evening. It would be corresponding with the special permit.
It's best that they run parallel. Okay?
Good idea, Mr. Chair.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you
Thank you
then.
very much.
See you in a second. Adam, if you'd come up, you can be Mr. Oram also tonight. Yeah, I did, Adam, I did leave you a couple messages, only because our previous urban meeting went more quickly than we thought, so we did have it set up that immediately following the conclusion of urban, we would start this meeting. But I recall being down at your place, very impressed with it, by the way, that, I told you you'd be there at 7 and you'd be out shortly afterwards, so I wasn't gonna start a meeting. And so if you got a couple messages on your cell phone, that was the situation. I was telling some of my colleagues and members of the committee that I did walk in last Friday, I think it was Friday after lunch, or Thursday, and I was very impressed. I didn't really examine the pool tables, but I was impressed with the setup, the way it is. It's quite impressive. So I tell you, everybody should get down and take a look.
I was there Saturday evening. Yeah. I've been in before, but Saturday evening, and live music and everything, and certainly the city wants you to be very successful, and that seems like a nice place with plenty of parking.
Thank you.
I think overall that area is really booming, which is really good. And I hope that you guys get, you're definitely going against a different clientele than what was there with Laser Zone, so that's all good.
Yeah.
So.
Now, it's interesting. Now, do you charge the people to play or use the tables?
We will. So obviously the tables are in place. People we just kind of let them play on it.
Yeah.
We got them from Steve Fireflies. The ideal is once we have the license in place, we'll probably charge like $1 a game. We want to actually keep it relatively cheap, and it's kind of going to be an honor system. We're not really going to, I guess, closely monitor it. I think most people for $1 aren't going to try to, rip us off too many games. Yeah. But just mainly the idea was just to kind of cover the cost of maintaining the tables.
They're going to police each other, because if someone is waiting to play, they're going to say, hey, wait a minute, we'll move this game along,
Exactly.
Don't double shoot or something like that, Now, any thoughts of increasing it to more than 2? I know these tables aren't cheap.
Yeah, no, they weren't cheap. I bought them from Steve at Fireflies. I got a pretty good deal on them. I think the tables themselves are $12,000 a table new. I bought them for like $1,000 a table, but I had to put a lot of money into them.
I didn't really want to know
to
that.
redo them. Yeah,
you have to tell us all that.
But I put a lot more money into the tables after the fact. It was expensive. It was almost as much money just to get them there than it was
delivery.
the delivery and the setup. I mean, the slate, the pieces of slate, I think are like 300 pounds a piece or something like that. Yeah. The guys coming in, they had to take a break every time they carried a piece in, so it was pretty hefty. But yeah, the idea is, I guess if we get busier and more, if the tables are being taken up a lot, we might increase the fees. I think particularly because people have been playing on them for free for like the last month or so. I don't want to seem like, we're gouging people or anything. The main thing is people enjoy the tables. They stick around, they play, they bring in friends and family, they tell others about it, and that's kind of the idea.
I think it's a nice conversation piece, too. I get down to the senior center sometime, and a lot of seniors and, some good pool players down there. It's kind of interesting, so, gentlemen.
Just a quick follow-up. Like I said, I was there Saturday evening checking everything out. Wonderful. And that was going to be the question. Are you going to be charging customers when they come in? And you've obviously answered that, because I was wondering, that's a plus for when people are coming in, checking out the band, having a brew. But from what I could see, Mr. Chairman, the way you had them set up, plenty of room that people could walk through, so it looked very nice.
Also do that.
No, I don't have anything more to say. Motion to approve?
Oh, well, I'm seeing Mr. President, you probably venture in there, and you'll have his say.
The only question was, were they going to be coin-operated tables, or are they going to be on other tables?
They're just, there's no coin mechanism on them, so they're just kind of open.
Many other types of, you see them in other establishments, they have coin operation. But I know the tables that you have, those are good ones. Do you re-bumper them too?
Yeah, I got them all resurfaced, brand new cloth on it, with the highest end cloth that I could put on it. That sales guy did a good job talking him into that. He said they're going to take a little more abuse than they would maybe in a normal pool hall, being in a tap room.
Two tables, or?
We have 2 tables, yeah.
Yep, good. Fully supportive.
Let's see. Councilor Austin, do you have any comments on the pool?
No, I approve it and ask for suspension on the second to move it along.
I move this on. Here again, as I left there, the person I had lunch with there, who's kind of done a lot of neat things in Marlborough. It's just one more example. It's just another asset that the city has. They have your building, but you just added that extra little piece, and I think it's a real plus. And we have a lot of those around town now, but I was very, very impressed when I walked in there. Hadn't been in for a couple of years, I guess, when you were just a brewery. So that being the case, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Okay, and this is to approve the application for a pool table license. Okay, and do I hear, I'll second that. All in favor? Very good. So we will also, suspension. I have a motion we ask for a suspension of the second.
Motion for a suspension of the application for pool table license.
I'll second that. All in favor? Great. So we ought to get on this. It'll be the second. So it ought to move right along. Okay, our next motion is to
motion to adjourn.
Adjourn. Was it six? Okay, I'll second that. Okay, second. All in favor? Great. So it's what time? 6:56.
Okay,
Okay, it's worth waiting for, and we'll